Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here. And today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top 15 pickups for the year of 2023. So I was going to do a top 10, but a vast majority of the fragrances mentioned here are either discontinued, vintage, or hard to find fragrances. So I wanted to include a few that others could maybe pick up with a little bit more ease for themselves in 2024 to just give some decent recommendations for what's on the market now. So I'm going to get started right away with the vintage fragrances. Thanks to and shout out to Ramsey. I predominantly was picking up a lot of these off of his recommendations from his channel, so definitely go check him out if you're interested in that. And he also had one of my favorite quotes of the year of 2023 with regards to being a fragrance collector, and that is, the way forward in the fragrance journey is backwards. So definitely can start to sympathize with that sentiment, as a lot of these vintage formulation fragrances do have a really great degree of quality and loud projection and things of that nature. So I would highly recommend getting your nose on some like small splash bottles, those little tiny minis that are available for a halfway decent price, just to get a frame of reference for what the industry used to be like before all of these IFRA regulations and unnecessary banning of quality ingredients, in my opinion. So starting off, we had Rive, Gauche, Pour Homme. I actually picked this one up off of Tyler at Simply Fragrance's recommendation. I saw him recommend this one in his collection as well, and really glad that I picked this one up. I think he did showcase this one on a vintage or discontinued hard to find gems video of his, and yeah, definitely a hallmark or benchmark barbershop style fragrance. This one has a really rich, creamy facet to it in terms of its textural feel. Definitely epitomizes that old canister of, like a tin can canister of shaving foam that you would get, with a little bit of a sweet licorice vibe going on from an anise. And then it also has a very outdoorsy, sort of rugged green facet to it as well that makes it a really perfect sort of masculine style fragrance in the barbershop category. Again, a little bit difficult to find. I picked this one up for I think like $200, and I had it shipped from Rome, I believe. Manly Sense, shout out to Manly Sense, is who I bought it from off of Etsy. He's another person that's in the community, shows up on Mr. Smelly's live streams every now and then. But yeah, Rive, Gauche, Pour Homme from YSL. This was one of my favorite pickups of 2023. In the same vein of barbershop fragrances, this one I did pick up off of Ramsey's recommendation. I think it was high up there on his ranking of the best barbershops. Fougere's fragrances. This is Gucci Nobile. Got this one also 60 mLs off of Mercari for $200, and this is I enjoy this one a little bit more than Rive Gauche. It has a really nice sweet quality from the way that the lavender's done in here. It has a nice creamy lavender going on. This one is a little bit more rugged in terms of its green outdoorsy facets, and it's one of the reasons why I enjoy it just ever so slightly. It doesn't have that anise style sweetness going on in here, but it does just capture the fresh aromatic vibe that you would be looking for from a barbershop fragrance. And like I said, this one just has a little bit of a tinge of outdoor ruggedness going on with it. A little bit of like an animalic note as well, that really, a little bit more so in the opening, but it dries down into something just very, very elegant, beautiful, and classic, but modern at the same time. And a little bit dinged up here on this matte finish in the middle stripe, but I think this is a really elegant looking bottle as well, sitting out. So yeah, Gucci Nobile was one of my other favorite pickups of 2023. Okay. Next, this one I picked up off of Sebastian's recommendation over at the Perfume Guy. This one was recently discontinued, however I think you can still pick it up on Canada's website from Zara. This is Leather Jardin. I think the notes that they list in this are rose, leather, and I forget what the other note is, but I do get a lot more going on, maybe like some birch bringing in a little bit of a smoky facet. The rose isn't overly dominant in terms of its actual scent profile, but I think it gives it a nice dewy sort of textural vibe going on to kind of harmonize this sort of rugged, old school 1960s vibe leather, which is what this harkens back to. It's definitely a 60s style fragrance without overt animalic qualities. Reminds me of those like leather shoes and briefcases that you would see from old sitcoms from the 70s that were harkening back to the 60s, and just this is like I think grapefruit is the beautiful sparkly introductory note that's listed as well. This has a beautiful citrus, a nice dewy sort of wet quality, but then a dry smoky leather going on to just create a well-balanced fragrance. Definitely something that you would want to pick up if you're into vintage style fragrances, but I think this is really easy to wear, a really nice masculine style fragrance. I think perfumed by Joe Malone as well, so really high quality stuff. I think the Canadian version of this also has a like a strap here on the bottle, so if this is still available to you at your Zara location, definitely pick this one up. I got this on eBay for I think about $60, but you can get it from Zara for right around $40 if it's still available. So that was Leather Jardin, another one of my favorite pickups of 2023. Okay, this is one that both Max Forte and Mr. Smelly had convinced me to pick up. It's one that my wife got me the recent formulations for a present, I think either Christmas or birthday at one point. Really fell in love with the DNA. I think Super Jacob also has sing praises for this vintage formulation, and recently Joy Amin has picked a bottle up as well. I think I got mine before Joy did, but this is Dolce & Gabbana's Pour Homme, the sticker version here. I picked up a tester. I think if you're trying to hunt one of these down, go try to find one of the tester bottles that lists the notes on the back, as I hear these ones are more difficult to counterfeit, as this is sought after in the vintage community. It is one of the more counterfeited ones. But this is really good at capturing the scent profile of the modern formulations. It's not that far off, so I wouldn't necessarily go way out of your way to pick this up at paying the scalped prices. But it is a lot more... it has this texture to it that is a lot more rich. I think an increased richness is a good way to describe this one. There's a really nice creamy facet to this one that I don't quite pick up in the modern formulations with the way that the lavender and the honey is done in here. So it is a little bit more dense, and I think more apt to be more versatile in cooler weather, whereas the modern formulation, although good for cooler weather, wears a little bit more light and fresh in my opinion. But this stuff is just it's the honey in here is a little bit more pronounced. I don't even know if there's a honey note listed in the modern formulation, but I do get a little bit of that in here, and it has, like I said, it adds to the textural feel alongside of the creamy lavender that is done a little bit more high quality and to a better degree in this than the modern formulations. But overall, just a very gentlemanly, beautiful kind of floral, sweet, signature style fragrance. So that's Dolce & Gabbana's Pour Homme. I think mine, this is made in Italy, and I think mine is like a 1998 maybe, if I checked the batch code, if I remember correctly. So another one of my favorite pickups of 2023. Okay, this is another one that I picked up off of Joy Amin's recommendation. He said to try and get them before they dry up because they will be a sought-after commodity, and he was not wrong. I was luckily enough to find this tester on eBay for $64, and I think it's hard to find these for less than like $180, $200, and I've seen them go as high as like $500 right now. But this is Cartier Declaration D'un Soir Intense. Now, the regular D'un Soir is also discontinued, and that one still I've seen pop up on Fragrance Buy, at least very recently. I actually put it on my community tab to go grab that one. I love that one as well. I could have included that in this same slot here, as I love both the DNAs. They're also one of my more complimented rose fragrances. So that's what you get here, a kind of a take on the Cartier Declaration DNA, which is sort of like a fresh culinary spice style fragrance that has a little bit of, you know, like some cumin and things of that nature, but this just has a really nice jammy rose and a little bit of a smoky facet going on, like a very, very fresh kind of version of something like Oran Sans or Missy Miyake. They don't really smell quite the same, but this does have a darkness and a jammy rose going on in it that is kind of in the same family, I want to say, but wears a lot more fresh, easy, and signature style than any other of the rose fragrances that I've really got my nose on. And the jammy quality is what makes this different than the more dewy floral style rose that's in the regular Cartier Declaration D'un Soir. So really happy to have gotten a really good deal on this one, and really glad to have it now that it's getting really hard to find, as I really enjoy this scent profile. So that's Cartier Declaration D'un Soir Intense. Okay, and finally the last one I got, because both Rich Mitch and Ramsey sung high praises of this fragrance. I think it used to be a bargain bin cheapie for whatever reason, but really hits the spot for me in the way that my tastes have developed currently. This is Balenciaga's Pour Homme. So this, the first time I smelled this, the imagery that came to mind to articulate the way that it smelled was like riding a spaceship and descending onto planet Earth, and like there was like an open cockpit and you can just catch wafts of like all of the different biomes of the planet, like a little bit of a waft of the desert and the tropical areas and the tundra and the more deciduous forest style areas. Like it just had the full spectrum of a planetary landscape. Like there's just so much going on here, but it's blended together absolutely masterfully, and like so everything, there's no incoherence going on. Like there's like a full spectrum of notes while also being not discordant in any way. Some of the main notes that really pop off to me though is like a huge dollop of oak moss, so it does have that old school greenery going on to it, but it smells modern despite that fact. The only thing that would seem a bit vintage-esque about it is that it's got that textured vibe that the oak moss brings to the table, and then also honey and cinnamon are also some of the main sweetening factors in here that makes this really wearable. It is a bit dark and dense, but the greenery makes it also fresh and well balanced in my opinion. Something I'm still really getting to know. Like I said, it's super it's a vast fragrance is the best way to describe this. So really looking forward to wearing this one a lot more, especially in this month of January, which I think is where this is going to shine for me the brightest. Yeah, just really, I think it's like $300 is what it's going for on the eBay and stuff like that, which is around what I paid for it for. I would say that I'm like kind of happy with that price, given that I would pay that for some niche fragrances, and I prefer this to the scent profile over those niche fragrances, which brings me to my next favorite pickup of 2023. Amouage 45. This is, so I do enjoy Balenciaga Pour Homme more than this, and this I was able to get on a Black Friday deal for $270, which is a little bit higher than I would have liked to pay, given that I think Chaos Fragrances put on his community tab that this was going on Fragrance Net for $211. So if you could get this from Fragrance Net, if they're going for that price again, I think this is a steal at that price. I really love the original Reflection Man. I do have one of the more vintage bottles of that, where they didn't have the name printed on the bottle and engraved on the neck. But this one is a little bit more masculine. It kind of removes some of the floral texture of the original and replaces it with this more resinous spice. Not nearly as good of projection, but a really deep, rich, resinous sort of almost iris-based fresh fragrance, a little bit powdery, a little bit earthy as well. I think it's orris root instead of the iris flower, but one of the reasons I'm just glad to have gotten this in 2023 is that I got a decent price for it, because it's kind of hard to find this for under $300. So that was another one of my favorite pickups of 2023. You'll have to forgive me, I got quite a head cold going on right now. Still recovering. I think I caught it from my daughter after she was sick over New Year's. Just now feeling well enough to kind of get back on camera here. So the next one that was one of my favorite pickups was another one that I got a really good deal on. I paid $250 for this, and it retails for $600, and I have not seen it at discounters since I picked it up. And even when I first bought this, immediately after buying it, the retailer I got it from, I think it was an eBay seller, they relisted their stock at like $280 because they, I think, didn't mean to list it so cheaply. But this is African Rose from Memo. So if you're a fan of African leather, this takes that DNA and then adds a really nice rose that's reminiscent of the way that they do it in Club de Nuit Intense Woman. I've never smelled Tom Ford's Noir de Noir, but the way that the rose comes off in here is reminiscent of that clone of that fragrance, but placed upon that really nice buttery leather cardamom vibe that the original African leather brings to the table. Again, this is a really great fragrance. I really enjoy wearing it, especially during the darker, colder moments of the autumn, but would not overpay for this one. I think $250 is about a cap of what I would be comfortable paying for it. And so just really glad that I got it for a really good price, as it is really beautiful, but it is overpriced. So part of the reason I'm putting it in the list is because I'm just really, I think I got a good deal on it, and I'm glad to have it in the collection. So that was African Rose from Memo. Okay, next we have Green Irish Tweed. Was one of my acquisitions for 2023, and I don't think I need to spend much time on this one. This is a classic in the fragrance world. It's just that beautiful green powdery Irish countryside. It just has an incredible amount of grassiness, a fresh post-rain dew style vibe going on from a well-done violet leaf, and some minty facets in the opening from a lemon verbena, and the powdery texture from iris. Absolute stunning composition from Pierre Bourdon, and probably something that I am going to be getting another bottle of by 2025, because I think I could really put a full bottle's worth of wearings in here in 2024. So that was Creed Green Irish Tweed. Okay, next we have Bellamy Vetiver, another recommendation from Ramsey. So this one is not discontinued, but it really does not pop up at the discounters. So I bought this full retail for like $180 from Hermes's website. I think this, I would be happy paying closer to like $120 or maybe less, closer to like $100 if this were at discounters, but since it's not, I'm still happy because this is really beautiful buttery leather with a little bit of a licorice style sweetness going on. Reminds me very much of the autumnal sort of Thanksgiving time vibe. The color scheme with this mahogany or like a maroon style sticker here, and then the juice color I think articulates what the scent profile is doing very well. It reminds me of like more of like dried fruits and like nuts, like a nut butter and dried fruit aspects of like things that would be laid out for Thanksgiving time. Not quite so much the fresh, fruity, spicy vibes that also would be accompanying something on a charcuterie board, like Jubilation Man perhaps, but this definitely accents the other side of the festive the festive foods that are available at that time of the year. It kind of reminds me also of like an old catching mitt, a baseball catching mitt for some reason, just because of like the buttery, leathery profile going on in here. This is easily one of my favorite pickups out of all of these. None of these aren't ranked, but this one is way high up there in terms of ones that I love the scent profile thereof, and I think could be an easy signature scent. So that's Bellamy Vetiver from Hermes. Okay, I think this is the only cheapie on the list. This is Junoon Oud from Haramain. This is a Tigar clone. I picked this up for $50 on Joma Shop, and they have testers of this available for $40. And what this does is, like I said, it's clones Bulgari's Tigar. So it has that really sparkly, woody, sparkly grapefruit with a woody undertone. Now, I have tried Black Panther from Alexandria Fragrances, as well as sampled Suspiro's Vibrato, and I found both of those to be a little bit sour and have this quality to them that just I feel was balanced out well in here, because this one brings rosewood and patchouli to the scent profile. And now I haven't smelled Tiger. I'm going to try and get my hands on maybe like a 30 ml bottle of that are kind of hard to find. Excuse me. But are just to compare with, but this has been one of my favorite, most complimented, easy to wear fragrance pickups of 2023, and I just love the fact that it's so affordable. And I think this presentation also is rather enjoyable to look at as well. This like rosewood plaque bottle that they have here isn't made out of wood. It feels like a plastic veneer over glass, but classy bottle nonetheless in my opinion. So that's Junoon Oud from Haramain. Okay, next we have Fougere Emeraude. This is another one of my favorite pickups of 2023 in terms of scent profile. A tuberose fougere. So this has the imagery this evokes for me is like falling on a bed of powdery rose petals. It has an almost fleshy texture feel to it of like fresh petals of a flower with a little bit of a powdery vibe going on. This is very unique and well done in that I feel it is a unisex fougere. Usually fougeres are like exclusively a male-dominated genre in fragrance, but this one is done in such a way that I think is maybe too feminine leading for some men, but definitely unisex enough that women could pull off this scent profile. But yeah, beautiful lavender that comes in, creeps in a little bit after the very floral opening from the heavy dose of tuberose. A little bit musky, but one of my favorite wearing experiences for the springtime, and also garners me a lot of compliments. A little bit expensive, this whole house, but I think they do a really good job in terms of quality. I think Vanille Havane is their most hyped fragrance. That one's just okay for me. I really think the scent profile on that is to die for, but the projection and longevity are so-so, and the better parts of that fragrance I think die away in the opening, which doesn't last too long. The boozy facets, what I like about that one. But this has been my favorite that I've tried from their house so far, so that's Fougere Emeraude. Okay, we have 3 more. This one is still available, but not in this vintage formulation. This is Guerlain Hertiage, a beautiful patchouli, and it's a barbershop fragrance, which is got a really nice, rich density to it from a patchouli focus. So it's really great for the fall and winter time, in my opinion. And it has a great deal of class and elegance and a little bit of optimism in the bottle as well. I feel is a good way to articulate the way that this fragrance smells. It just has a certain degree of happy optimism while also being rich, dense, and masculine and classical. Definitely would recommend getting a recent formulation. Or I think I only paid $180 for this one, so it's maybe like close to full retail of a recent formulation. So if you want, maybe hunt this one down. This is the gold cap version. Again, shout out to Ramsey for recommending this in terms of vintage pickups. Really beautiful stuff, and something that I'm really glad to have picked up in 2023. Okay, 2 more. Mousee Illuminee. I think I picked this one up again off of Sebastian Zara, the perfume guy's recommendation. He featured this one a handful of times, and this one is like a really nice middle ground between a chypre and a fougere. It has this creamy barbershop shaving foam texture vibe going on underneath of a really nice green outdoorsy oak moss texture on the top, and then it also has this almost like fizzy lemon lime soda citrusy quality going on, although I don't think there's any citruses listed in the note breakdown. It is very bright and captures the Illuminee, like illuminated moss. It sells that scent profile very well. It does feel like some type of tree moss with some sunlight hitting it and giving off a really nice, refreshing, plant-like vibrancy coming off of the top of it. Definitely, again, one that has garnered me a lot of compliments despite smelling, being a green, sort of old school style scent profile. Really glad to have gotten this one, both because I absolutely adore the way that it's constructed, the way that it smells, and the fact that it does get me some positive attention. So that's Mousee Illuminee from Rogue Perfumery, another one of my favorite pickups of 2023. And finally, the last of my pickups of this top 15 list here is one that I just find super easy to wear. I believe that Banana Republic's Pure White is a clone of this one. They come fairly similar, although I find that fragrance to be a little bit more creamy and doesn't quite capture the way that the citruses are done in here. And the way that the citruses are done in here is the selling point of this fragrance for me, so I do enjoy 90 Pure White from Banana Republic. And I'm interested in trying, I think there's a Paris Corner clone of this one, like Vibrant Vetiver. But this is Byredo's Bal D'Afrique, and I like to call this the Atomic Citrus fragrance because the way that the citrus comes off in the nose palette here in terms of its textural feel feels like the molecules have been ground down into an atomic size. It's just so spritzy and misty the way that it comes off. Otherwise, it's just got that fresh, clean, white linen vibe going on, and just is so easy to wear, and just my absolute favorite white tea fragrance to wear in the high heat of the early parts of the summer, the ending parts of the spring. Just absolutely, it's very relaxing as well, and it has a slight tropical African flower style scent profile as well that gives it a unique character that makes it different from some of the other freshies in my collection. So that is the last of my favorite pickups of 2023. So far, my least favorite pickup has been this Head Cold, so hopefully I didn't offend too badly with my stuffy nose and presentation here today. But I'm really glad that you stuck with me to the end of the video and allowed me to share with you these of my 15 favorite pickups of 2023. Hopefully these will give you some sort of inclining towards your next step in your own fragrance journey, and definitely go check out some of the channels that I mentioned here that helped me along in my own journey. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.